So, the newly updated Imaginarium Theater has finally arrived, and boy oh boy does it feel rough if I'm being honest. I think this is the first time I've actually had to sweat, and even reset the fights multiple times. But in exchange, the added rewards are pretty sweet, and of course, the whole new system of card collection is now live. Although, I have some thoughts about it. And so, in this video, I'll talk about all of these things today, share some tips about the new difficulty mode, and maybe even rant a little at the end. I'll say this for now. The new Lunar difficulty mode is quite interesting, but I honestly think it could have been done better. So let's talk about this. But first, topping up costs a lot, and those numbers are always painful to look at. So if there was any way to bring those prices down, you'd want to hear about it, right? Well, luckily today's sponsor, LD Shop, can easily help you with this. They offer in-game purchases on multiple titles, but with a massive discount. For example, for Genshin, they have their character guarantee bundle that gives 180 pulls worth of currency. And if you're just looking to swipe in general, you can get top-ups that usually cost $100 in the US for just over $75, which ends up saving you over 20%. Oh, and if you're wondering, yes, the first top-up bonus will work from LD Shop, so you can get double Genesis crystals, but cheaper. And it's very easy to do it. Just enter your UID and server region and press top-up button. Within 5 minutes, the top-up will appear in-game. If you spend over $80 in 1 month, you can claim a free Welkin Moon. And if you register for LD Shop using my link, you get a 5% and 15% off coupons, which can be used to save up to $50 off. LD Shop has been a go-to place for thousands of players, and it's absolutely safe and secure for top-ups. So use my link to start saving and help support my channel. Okay, so starting off with the new Lunar mode, compared to previously hardest Visionary mode, you will need to bring 6 additional units here, since the minimum amount of characters required has grown to 28. Although, if you want those extra stat buffs, you can bring 4 additional units, which totals up to 32. That's pretty crazy because, according to Genshin's wiki, there's 105 playable units in the game right now, so that's around a third of the entire roster you need to own. But let's not forget there's elemental limitations. This new theater cycle only allows you to bring units from Hydro, Electro, and Geo. And sure, even if you pick all 6 trial characters plus you borrow 1 from the friends list, that means you still need 21 units at the minimum. And the current roster here shown has 40 characters, so you have to own more than half of these units. Not to mention the fact you can also bring 4 more units for extra stat buffs. Safe to say, the first big tip how to beat this mode is to actually own a lot of units. I know, what a shockingly good recommendation, right? Anyway, so what's new in this Lunar mode, besides the depressive character requirements? Well, after beating the first boss, or after the 3rd battle, a new event pops up on the left side of the screen, and basically how it works is that you have the option to complete 2 extra challenges. You can attempt them at any time before the final act boss, so I definitely recommend holding off until the last moment when you've collected enough reaction buffs from events, and then go and try to clear these 2 challenges. Now, interestingly enough, you can attempt to do these challenges in any order, and I learned that by accidentally starting the fight against Jade Plume first. The enemies here are at level 100, so they are a bit harder than usual, and the first challenge basically requires you to survive until the timer runs out, while in the meantime, electro attacks will hit your active unit. So I just brought good old Zhongli to absorb the damage. A healer would work too, or maybe you can even survive those attacks without sustain. Maybe. But the problem with this challenge is that if you want to obtain the Stella mark, you need to also defeat 17 enemies in time, which is kinda annoying because each time you defeat the enemy, the timer also decreases. So you still need to bring good enough DPS to quickly defeat 17 enemies and survive. Since I was attempting this challenge right before the last boss, I did fully max out Electro Charge / Lunar Charge reaction. So even with this ragtag team of units, I was able to barely clear it. Now, the second challenge, which I've actually completed first, contains the Jade Plume boss. This is purely a DPS check, definitely worth bringing electro damage dealers, just because you need to save up on Hydro units for the last boss, because you will be going up against the Kukuzar dragon, and that thing is really annoying since you need good enough Hydro to take out its shield, and then have good enough DPS to quickly take it out, especially if you want to obtain the Stella mark. But yeah, going back to Jade Plume, bring electro DPS, and I honestly leaned on Electro Charge or Lunar Charge reactions to take it out quickly. Although, funnily enough, as you'll notice, I'm using Neuvillette here, and that's only because I drew him at the very end. So he had 2 Vigor, and I could still use the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal guy against the last boss. Plus, he was picked from my friends list, and he was C6. Also, one important thing I'd like to note for those who haven't attempted this yet, after beating the Lunar Challenge, you still get to add 1 new unit to your roster, so clearing both challenges nets you 2 new units, although you also gotta burn through a lot more Vigor just to clear them. But yeah, after beating these Lunar Challenges, all you gotta do is clear the last boss, and the credits will start rolling. Overall, I think the strategy here remains the same like in Visionary mode. Always make sure to keep drafting as many units as possible, and try to spend the rest of the currency on increasing the reaction levels. Not every unit is going to be great in every situation, so it's better to have more options than to focus on powering up reactions. And of course, always plan ahead who needs to be saved up against each boss fight. The first boss is kinda whatever, anybody can beat it. The second boss needs Dendro reactions or Electro. The third boss absolutely needs good Geo application. I didn't get to draft Zhongli before this fight, so I used Ito to break the shield. And then the last boss, as I said before, you really want to save up your best Hydro units against it, like Farina and Nuvi. Now, let's talk about the updated rewards. So, the first time clearance rewards includes 300 Primo Gems, 160k Mora, 10 highest XP books, 2 fragile resin, and 1 craftable weapon billet. Not bad, and as you'll notice, you just need to beat the lunar challenges to obtain these rewards. You won't miss out on them if you didn't get the Stella mark. But moving over to recurring rewards every cycle, beating both lunar challenges nets you 200 Primo Gems, 100k Mora, 10 small and 6 big artifact XP potions. So overall, not the craziest rewards if you cannot complete this mode. Finally, and this is probably the one that will be painful the most to miss out on, getting 12 Stella marks now also rewards you with 1 additional Sanctifying Elixir. So that means you need to obtain both Stella marks from lunar challenges to get this final and recurring reward. And in my opinion, this elixir is so valuable when you want to craft some good artifacts. I just wish you could have gotten 2 of them with 9 Stella marks, and with 12, maybe a less serious reward would have been added. Well, what can you do? I know, let's talk about the next funny addition to the game. Okay, so it's not enough Genshin has its own TCG, but now there's a new collectible card system called Lunar Arcana, and you can obtain one of these cards per cycle after beating both lunar challenges. You will be presented with a choice of 2 cards, and you gotta pick one carefully. If any moms are watching me, you know how this works, if you play Match 3 games or perhaps Monopoly Go on mobile. Yeah, I also play them, no biggie. Okay, where was I? Oh right. So there's a total of 22 Lunar Arcana cards in the game right now, but as I've said, you can only obtain one of them every Imaginarium Theater cycle. You can also trade these cards with others, but it's a trade, so you will lose what you trade and gain the traded item. Simple, right? I don't know if after beating Lunar mode, you can decline the 2 choices and retry again to obtain 2 new choices, and that's maybe something we will find out later, but the point is, let's assume you effectively managed to gain 1 new card either from drafting it or by trading a dupe with another player. That would still take you over 22 months or so just to complete the whole collection, if I calculated this right. And guess what? For achievement hunters, this will be a painful journey because there is an achievement where you need to own all 22 of Lunar Arcana. My guess is perhaps in the future, Hoyo will add additional ways that we can obtain these cards faster. I would also like to point out, I found this fine print rules text hidden away from me, where it states that the type of Lunar Arcana cards drawn at the end of Lunar mode, to some degree, are determined by the characters who took part. I have no idea what this means, but perhaps some cards are not even available yet to collect? Maybe you need to bring specific characters to unlock them? I don't know. But look, at the end of the day, it's just some little collectathon on the side. You don't gain any benefits besides a minuscule amount of Primo Gems after gaining 1, 12, and 22 cards from the achievements. I personally liked the idea of it, but the execution is, weird to say the least. I was thinking maybe the devs could consider just letting people farm for these cards on repeat, or at least more than once, because I don't know about you guys, I just do my theater mode once per cycle and peace out until the next one arrives. So maybe giving the option to gain more cards could increase the mode's replayability each cycle. And I also think when going back to Lunar mode, the 6 additional unit requirement compared to Visionary mode could have been handled better, to be honest. Like, let people pick 1 or 2 or maybe 3 more units from their friends list, or perhaps provide more trial units. These 2 new challenges are quite interesting in my opinion, and I did feel like this was an actual endgame experience. I had to restart and plan even more carefully than before, just to fully clear this mode with all Stella marks. And I think people who haven't got tons of units on their account should experience this without the massive roster check. I mean, I get it. On one hand, it feels rewarding for those who put in the effort leveling so many units and grinding their gear, to see it finally pay off. But I feel like this new Lunar mode has become even more limiting than Visionary mode. Or maybe I'm just babbling here. So let me know in the comments what you think about this new mode and situation. Hope you found this video interesting or useful, and as always, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Your support means everything to me. Thanks, and see you next time.